Today on Rappler, the United States says it dropped a dummy ordinance on South Korea, proving it can deter any attack at will. The largest cyber attack to date slows down the internet all over the world. Hello, I'm Maria Ressa. Welcome to Rappler, your social news network. The United States says 2 nuclear-capable B-2 stealth bombers flew deterrence missions over South Korea Thursday. The deployment of the bombers comes after North Korea cut its military hotline to the south and put its rocket units on combat status with a threat to target U.S. bases in the Pacific region. In a statement, the U.S. military says the 2 bombers fly from Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri and drop dummy ordnance on a target range in the south. The statement says this demonstrates the United States' ability to conduct long-range precision strikes quickly and at will. The bombers participate in South Korean U.S. military exercises that anger North Korea, which threatened to launch nuclear strikes on the 2 countries. U.S. Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel says Seoul could rely on the United States military protection. And for our social media post of the day, Amadas leaves this comment on Rappler.com using his Discuss account. Asian countries must always be alert and not be used as proxies of any big powers, as the objective of any big power is to, quote, divide and rule. The people of Asia, through its governments, must always guard against being used as pawns of big power politics. Global internet speeds slow down Wednesday because of a cyber attack, which security experts say is the biggest of its kind. The hacking affects popular internet services, including video streaming service Netflix. The Distributed Denial of Service Attack, or DDoS attack, began on March 18, targeted at Europe-based spam fighting group Spamhaus. The attack follows the group's decision to include Dutch web host Cyberbunker on its list of suspected spam hosting websites. Experts say that if it is not stopped, the hacking could affect critical service sectors such as banking and email. BBC reports cyber police forces from 5 countries are looking into the attacks. Speaking to the BBC, Spamhaus CEO Steve Linford says, quote, this sort of attack would take down pretty much anything else. He adds their engineers are working round the clock for over a week to keep their servers up. Pope Francis stamps his personal touch on Easter celebrations by washing the feet of young prisoners in Rome. In his first general audience on Wednesday, the Pope calls on the world's 1.2 billion Catholics to reach out to the, quote, lost sheep, adding, Holy Week challenges us to step outside ourselves so as to attend to the needs of others. Breaking away from tradition, Francis will hold Christ's Last Supper Mass in the Casa del Marmo prison in Rome with 46 prisoners. The 12 prisoners who will have their feet washed will be chosen from different nationalities and religious confessions. The Holy Thursday Mass will kick off 4 days of symbolic ceremonies to commemorate Jesus Christ's crucifixion and resurrection. Manila Archbishop Luis Antonio Cardinal Tagle performs a symbolic washing of the feet ritual on poll workers 46 days before the May elections. Carmela Fonbuena files this video blog.
It is Holy Thursday and I'm here at Paco Church in Manila, where the world-famous Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle puts a twist in the Catholic tradition of the washing of the feet. Recognizing the importance of the coming May elections, he washes the feet of Commission on Elections Chairman Sixto Brillantes Jr.
Ang ating pong mga naanyayahan ay ang ating mga kapatid na mayroong gagampanan ng mahalagang papel sa susunod na eleksyon.
Joining Brillantes are other personalities whose job is to make sure that the elections is clean and free. They represent the 12 apostles of Jesus Christ. In the Bible, Jesus Christ performed the ritual on his apostles during the Last Supper, their final meal together. It is interpreted as an act of humility.
Huwag sihulas ang ating alalahanin. Ang alalahanin natin, yung nag-alay ng buhay dahil iniibig siya. Ang pag-ibig niya ipinakita sa pagbubugas ng mga mahal. Ang paghuhugas ng paa ay gampaning trabaho ng isang alipin, alina, lingkod.
In the Old Testament, the ritual was performed only by slaves on guests in well-off households. People then wore sandals and walked on dusty roads.
Ang bayang naglalakbay sa dilim. Matagal nang naghihintay ng liwanag ng katotohanan, kalinisan, integridad, lalo na sa pamamagitan ng malinis na eleksyon. Halinawa ang bansang Pilipinas magiging handa mula Huwebes Santo, Biyernes Santo, tungo sa bukang diwaliwan ng Antarctic.
Holy Thursday kicks off 4 days of symbolic ceremonies commemorating the crucifixion and resurrection of Jesus Christ. In Vatican, Pope Francis adds his personal touch to the ritual, choosing to wash the feet of young prisoners. He says it is important to reach out to those in need. Carmela Fonbuena, Rappler, Manila.
The difficult work of reforming the church begins for Pope Francis, and Rappler's editor-at-large Marites Vitug says the Philippine church poses a challenge to the new pontiff. Here's her video blog.
The Philippines is one of only 2 Catholic countries in Asia. In the eyes of the Vatican, it's a tiny spot in the entire world of Catholics. But the Church here poses a major challenge to Pope Francis. In the US, Europe, and Australia, sex abuse against women and young boys led to lawsuits, changes in the Catholic hierarchy, and a zero-tolerance policy towards such behavior. This is not the case in the Philippines. When the Bishop of Bacolod started this campaign of Team Patay, referring to legislators who voted for the RH bill, some responded with Team Tatay. The phenomenon of priests who fathered children is common here. But the Church has been forgiving. It allowed them to continue with their priestly duties. This pattern applies to cases of child abuse. A Filipino Monsignor had to leave a U.S. parish after he was accused of molesting altar boys. Despite this, he was taken in as a priest in Cebu. The Church here has yet to be transparent about the sex abuse sins of its priests and be accountable. This is Marites Vitug for Vitug Vlogs.
Government officials meet in Zamboanga Wednesday and agree to set up a one-stop center for Filipinos affected by the Saba standoff. Department of Social Welfare and Development Chief of Staff Javier Jimenez says the processing center in Taganak Town in Tawi-Tawi will launch on April 3. He says the processing center will be set up in cooperation with the Department of Foreign Affairs, Bureau of Immigration, and the Department of Labor and Employment. More than 4,000 Filipinos fled Saba since February. After giving the Philippines its first investment grade status, Fitch Ratings upgrades the credit rating of Philippine long-distance telephone company. Fitch says it raised PLDT's long-term foreign currency issuer default rating and senior unsecured rating from BBB- to BBB. In a statement Thursday, Fitch assigns a stable outlook, meaning the new ratings will hold in the near term. Fitch cites PLDT's dominant market share in the wireless, fixed line, and broadband segments by the end of 2012 as among the main reasons for the upgrade. Well, let's now look at Rappler's Wrap for today, a list of the 10 most important events around the world you shouldn't miss. At number 2, U.S. President Barack Obama says he expects the Senate to start debating the comprehensive immigration reform next month. Obama praises a bipartisan group of Democratic and Republican senators working to come up with a joint bill on the issue. The senators say their plan would offer a pathway to eventual citizenship. They also say it will include steps to secure U.S. borders and introduce an employee verification program. The bill must make its way through the House of Representatives, where Republicans oppose any solution that could be branded, quote, amnesty for illegal immigration. At number 4, James Holmes, the suspected gunman in the horrific Aurora Theater massacre, could plead guilty to escape the death penalty. Holmes is due in court Monday for a hearing where prosecutors are expected to say whether they will seek the death penalty for the mass shooting, which left 12 people dead in July. In a court filing, the lawyers wrote, Mr. Holmes is currently willing to resolve the case to bring the proceedings to a speedy and definite conclusion for all involved. It appears the only impediment to a resolution of this case would be if the prosecution chooses to seek the death penalty. The defense attorneys want a sentence of life in prison without parole. They say the case could be concluded next week if the plea deal is accepted. And at number 8, Facebook is turning red in support of same-sex marriage. Many Facebook users changed their profile pictures to a red logo of the Human Rights Campaign, an advocacy group for gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender individuals. The group has over 1 million Facebook followers. The U.S. Supreme Court is set to decide the fate of Proposition 8, which outlawed same-sex marriages in California. For the full top 10, visit Rappler.com's The Wrap. For the first time, scientists successfully tracked down and tag Antarctic blue whales through the use of acoustic technology to follow its songs. On Wednesday, the Australian government says researchers locate some of the mammals in the Southern Ocean after picking up their vocals. The scientists collect 23 biopsy samples and attach satellite tags to 2 blue whales, the largest animals on the planet. Tagger Virginia Andrews Goff says, "This method of studying Antarctic blue whales has been so successful, it will now become the blueprint for other whale researchers across the world." Environment Minister Tony Burke says the study proves it was not necessary to kill whales to conduct scientific research. Today, Maundy Thursday, some of the Catholic faithful visit churches to pray and reflect on the passion and death of Christ. If you're unable to do the traditional Visita Iglesia, Rappler offers a multimedia tour of 14 Philippine churches, bringing together visuals, music, and 1-minute Bible readings as part of a week-long package called Holy Week Online on Rappler.com. Every story on Rappler has a mood meter, which gives you 8 emotions to choose from. Click how you feel and your vote comes to the Mood Navigator in the middle of the front page, which crowdsources the mood of the day. It also gives you the top 10 stories which have gotten the most votes on their mood meter, the 10 stories which affected Filipinos in the last 24 hours. If we take a look today, story, world's largest cyber attack, one of today's top stories. You have a whopping 36% angry, 28% annoyed, 22% afraid, 7% amused, and 3% happy. Story that's gotten the most votes on the mood meter, if we take a look, a first investment grade rating for the Philippines. This happened yesterday, right before investment grade rating for PLDT today. You see 77% happy, contributing to the mood of the day. Today, most people are happy. Well, that's Rappler's Newscast for today, Thursday, March 28, 2013. Visit Rappler.com and watch our newscast Monday to Friday. Tell us how you feel on our mood meter and help us crowdsource the mood of the day. I'm Maria Ressa. As we say at Rappler, tomorrow begins today.